a formula to solve a quadratic equation. So far we've learned two methods. The first method is factorizing, which is using the null factor law to solve a quadratic equation. And then the other method we learned is called completing the square, which is useful for solving things that we can't factorize. And today we're going to learn a formula for quadratic equations. There's three ways altogether. And this formula you need to memorize for the exam. So let's look at this very carefully. So a quadratic equation have this structure, ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are the numbers. We're going to substitute these numbers. Yep. So you have these numbers a, b, and c, which you substitute into the formula. As we know, the equation have two solutions, x1 and x2, two answers. They all look very similar, except one with a plus, one with a minus. So we can abbreviate that into this form, plus or minus c. Okay? It looks very complicated, but it's actually quite easy to use. Let's use this formula to solve example 1. Okay, so we're going to solve this. So we're going to write the value of a, the value of b, the value of c. The value of a is 1 if there's no number in front of x squared. The number of b is 5. The number and the c is -3. Any question? So your first step is to just write down the formula. The more you write it, the easier you're going to remember the formula. So write it down first, and then replace all the pronumeral by the numbers you just wrote. So -5 plus or minus 5 squared minus 4ac, right, over 2 times 1. Yeah? And then what you need to do is to use your calculator. Don't type the whole thing in, just type in what's inside the square root. Write 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times -3. Just the stuff inside the square root, because it may not be square rootable. So which is 37. So you write equal to -5 plus or minus root 37 over 2. That's it. Otherwise, you get decimal if you type the whole thing. We want the answer to be in exact surf form. Exact solution. That's exact. Exact. Any question? So it's very easy, right? You just substitute the numbers. All you have to do is just memorize the formula. And of course, there's the next two you could try. Have a try. On the next column, there are 2 more questions. All right, try this. Try this, okay? See what you get. All right, have a try. So just write down the value of a, b, and c. Yep. We use the formula. Obviously, we can't factorize. We use the formula. Or if the question asks you to, in this case, they ask you to, regardless whether you can use it or not, use the formula. Okay? So we use the formula when we can't factorize. So we use the formula. Okay, let's do the next one. What's a? A is 1, b is 6, and c is 9. Let's do that. So you get x equal, write the formula first. The more you write it, the easier it becomes. I wrote this formula many times, so I memorized it. So you do -6 plus or minus 6 squared minus 4ac, right? Over 2 times 1. Yep. And then you work out. So what do you get this time? You get 0. What's the square root of 0? Square root of 0 is just 0. So you get plus or minus 0. But plus or minus 0 is just the same. You get -6 over 2, which is -3. Right? So you use the formula. Of course, you see that's a slow way. You can actually factorize it into x plus 3, x plus 3, isn't it? Right? So you get x equal to -3, as we expect. But that's a slow way if you can factorize. All right, try the next one. See what you get. All right, try the next one. What's the first step? Write down the value a, b, and c. And then we're going to go formula. This is the 3rd time you write the formula. Can you see it gets easier as the more you write it, the easier it becomes to memorize it, right? So the 3rd time you write it, you find it much easier to write. Okay, so you get -3, right? Plus or minus negative 3 squared minus 4ac over 2 times 2. Okay, alright, so what do you get? 9 minus plus or minus. Use your calculator to calculate what's inside there. See what you get. Remember to put a bracket around the negative 3 before you square, otherwise you get a different answer. Minus 4 times 2 times 4 equal to negative 23. Now what happens if you have a negative inside the square root? What do you say? You say that number doesn't exist. We can't square root negative number, right? So we say no solution. Cool. Any questions? So we did the 3 examples. So we see a quadratic will have 2 solutions, 1 solution or no solution. Is there a quick way to know that before we apply the whole formula? There's some parts of the formula that can immediately inform us that the number of solutions you have. What would it be? Anyone? Someone say something? No? Right, so basically this number here inside the square root immediately tell us where there's how many solutions there are. So can you see this one went 0? Automatically you get 1 solution. 1 solution. Right? When there's a negative, you have no solution. When it's a positive, you have 2 solutions. So that something tells you how many solutions. We'll give that thing a special name, the stuff inside the square root. All right, we're going to turn to the next page now. You ready? Because it tells you how many solutions there are, we call this thing the discriminant, the stuff inside the square root, because it discriminates between 2 solutions, not 1 solution or no solution, just by looking at the value of that number. So that number has a discriminatory property. It discriminates between the number of solutions. So we call this, we denote this by Greek letter delta. That's a Greek letter delta that looks like a triangle. Delta. It's a capital letter delta, okay? So delta equal to b squared minus 4ac, called the discriminant, tells you how many solutions there are. So when the discriminant is positive, we say there are 2 solutions. And when it is 0, it has got 1 solution. Right? See the one we did before? When that discriminant is 0, right, we get 1 solution. We get 1 solution. And the other one, when it's positive, we get 2 solutions. And when it is negative, we get no solution. So we say no solution. Okay, so we're going to solve these same 3 equations again, but this time we just use the discriminant to say how many solutions there are. So let's do the first one. Discriminant equal b squared minus 4ac. Okay? And the b is 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3. And if you do that on a calculator, it's 25 plus 12, which is 37. And that 37, because it's positive, we say this has got 2 solutions, 2 different answers. Yeah? And the next one, if you calculate the discriminant again, you get 6 squared minus 4ac, you get 36 minus 36, which is 0. And because it's 0, we say 1 solution. Okay? And then finally, if you do the next one, discriminant equal to b squared minus 4ac, you get negative 3. Remember to put a bracket around the negative. Minus 4ac, you will get 9 minus 32, which is negative 23. Right? Less than 0, we say no solution. Yeah. So this is called the discriminant. We will use that idea a lot in year 11 and 12 and the next topic. So it's quite important. It's a very important thing you learn, discriminant. All right. I've got 2 more questions to do. So try this. Use the quadratic formula to solve this. All right. Have a try. Give you a few minutes. I'll put this. Now, what you could do is, when you use the quadratic formula, just find the discriminant first. Okay? So what I do is, find the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So you get negative 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 1. And you will get the answer 4 minus plus 8, which is 12. Because once you find the discriminant, the formula becomes square root of discriminant, isn't it? You found what's inside the square root straight away. And the formula becomes smaller, right? So we get minus b, which is negative 2, plus or minus root 12 over 2 times 2, like that. So that discriminant can be used to find the answer to your solution, the discriminant. So you should simplify your answer. That will be, which is 2 plus or minus 2 root 3, right? And that 2 will cancel the 2 with the bottom. Both of these cancel with 1 at the bottom. So you end up with 1 plus or minus root 3 over 2. Right, that's your final answer. Try the next one. Find the discriminant first and work out. Let's continue. We've got this. Let's make it big. All right, good. Let's, is that recording? Yeah. Okay, let's try this. So your first step, just find the discriminant. Discriminant is negative 2 squared minus 4 ac. What would that be? 4 plus, double negative plus is 32, 36, right? And then when it's a perfect square, you get minus b plus or minus root discriminant over 2a, and that will be minus negative 2 plus or minus square root of 36 over 2 times 1. Yeah, so it becomes, yep. That's fine. Okay, root 36 is 6, so you get a whole number. So the answer is 2 plus 6, or 2 minus 6. 2 plus 6 is 8 over 4, 2 is 4, or negative 2. So it's a long way to solve this because you could have factorized. So KC can factorize this by doing x minus 4, x plus 2. X is 4 and 2. KC you can do it in 2 steps. Now with the formula, it's very long. Yeah? Any question? Now what do you notice is if you can factorize the quadratic, what do you notice about the discriminant? If you can factorize, that discriminant has to be square rootable, isn't it? So this sort of number are called perfect square. So when the discriminant is a perfect square, you'll be guaranteed that your quadratic is factorizable if the discriminant is a perfect square. All right, any question? All good? So you can start the exercise today on exercise 8I. That's the last exercise. And then we'll do a revision next lesson. Thank you. And you should try to get the test right.